Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our service, a memorial service for Sally. The first thing I'm going to do is light the candle, but before I do that, just a few health and safety messages for you all. So if there is an emergency, please go out any of the doors, 1, 2, 3, and wait outside on the roadway near the car park. The toilets are just out here to the right as you go out the door on the right. There's 3 of them, one for the gentlemen, one for the women, and one for those who can't make up their minds. I have to apologise that there's not enough seats for everyone, but if you'd like to sit on somebody's knee, if you won't know them well enough, they can put up their hand and you can join them. Okay. So let me light this candle. So thank you for inviting me to come here today to be part of this memorial service for Sally. We gather today to celebrate an amazing life, a life full of fun and laughter, often against adversity, especially in recent years. The love that she had for you all will always be with you in your hearts, your thoughts, and as you recall some of the activities that you enjoyed together. The photo placed here alongside the lighted candle will give us a focus for our reflections and our memories throughout the service today. And the beautiful quilts that we've used to cover the tables are some of Sally's lovely quilts that she made. For those who've not met me, I'm Heather Lofthouse, a childhood friend of Sally's, and I'm also a lay minister in the Anglican tradition. We're going to start our service today by singing One Day at a Time, Lord Jesus, or Sweet Jesus, as I think the words say that we've got, and Connor's going to play for us. So please stand if you're able and sing together this song that has been chosen for today by Sally. And Jolene and Liam are going to just use that one. Right. Join us as we sing. One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be
help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. I'm only human, I'm just a man. Help me believe in what I could be and all that I am. Show me the stairway I have to climb. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. Do you remember when you walked among men? Well, Jesus, you know, if you're looking below, it's worse now than then. Pushing and shoving, crowding my mind. So for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time.
Please be seated. The words in that chorus go, just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do, were words that Sally frequently sent to me. So it was really poignant that we sang that song. It is a privilege today to join with Sally's daughter Jennifer and Mike, the grandchildren Connor and Dylan and Graham, his daughter Jolene and Liam. It is great that we have been able to gather at this sad time to comfort them and to say our farewell. On behalf of the family, I thank you all for coming. We think also of those living outside of New Zealand and all those here in New Zealand that have been unable to make the journey to Taupo. We think of Graham's son, Jimmy and Nikki, Brett, Sally's son, and the 4 grandchildren, Jacob, India, Flynn and Kaylin in Scotland. Sally's sister Anne and family in the UK, her brother Ray and Laurel and their family in Australia, and the special friends and family that are living in America. Welcome to you all, and thank you to everyone that's been able to join this special remembrance service on live stream. Following this time of remembrance, you are welcome to stay, to chat and share further in memories and refreshments within this hall. If you haven't done so already, please sign the memorial book on the table at the entrance. And I'd just like to say hello, my personal hello to Ray and Laurel in Scotland, in Australia, and Anne. And I haven't seen Anne for a long, long time, but hello from me. We have come together today from different places, and we are all at different stages on our journey through life. Our paths are varied, and we look at life in different ways. But there is one thing we all have in common. At one point or another, and to some degree or other, our lives have been touched, or we have been touched, by the life of Sally Frances Sims. And so today we put aside our usual daily activities to gather, to reflect, and give expression to our thoughts and feelings at this time of loss. Sally and I shared many childhood holidays in New Plymouth alongside brother Ray and sister Anne. Times at the beach comes to mind, times in Pukekura Park, rowing the boats, which Ray was always quite good at. We both then went nursing, and our relationship as young nurses and all that entailed developed a bond of friendship that lasted throughout many years overseas and here back in New Zealand. I was training in New Plymouth, and Sally and Anne were both training in Green Lane. We both studied a teaching certificate for nursing tutors at Waikato University. We both didn't know that we were on this course, and yet we arrived and found that we were on it together. We had a hilarious time. As part of the course, we had to put together a visual presentation. Long before the age of PowerPoint and technology, what helps us today, our presentation, we decided, was breast is best. And we used milking cows as our visuals. Many of those presenting were very seriously academic, and ours certainly was not, and it was the only one that wasn't. Over the years, we have shared much laughter and sadness, journeying sometimes together and sometimes far apart. But somehow, throughout all those years, we've stayed in contact. Sally and Bruce were our first visitors on moving back to Taranaki in 2007, since which our friendship strengthened. I shall miss her positivity, her enthusiasm for everything that she did, for work, for all her various activities and her hobbies, and will remember her as always ready for a laugh. She had a delightful, if not wicked, smile, dependent on the subject. So I'd now like to ask Jennifer to come forward and share Sally's story with you all.
Thanks, Heather. Wow. Hi, guys. How are we? I'm Jennifer, or Jen, as some people know me. Thanks for all coming today and being here for us. It's awesome. It's lovely to see you all. All right, let me tell you about my mum, Sally. You may pick up a few things that you haven't heard before. She was born in Auckland, 21st November 1946, the daughter of Annette and Ernest Burrows, big sister to Anne in England and Ray in Australia. Mum went to Mount Roskill Grammar School. She did well in swimming and running and started her first job in a shoe shop before doing some secretarial work and then into nursing school at 17. She was taught the piano by the nuns and can play the ukulele very well. Later, she taught my brother Brett and I the piano and played at my wedding. She worked in hospitals as a district nurse, and then after marrying Grant, my dad, we lived in Katikati for 10 years. After her marriage fell apart, we moved up to Auckland. Mum worked so hard nursing to support Brett and myself. She saved hard to buy a home and then take us to England to visit her sister and relatives. She was very organised in all that she did. There was always a list. She taught us how to budget very tightly and never waste anything. It wasn't long before Mum met Bruce, our stepdad, and she took on teaching positions, teaching nurses at AUT in Auckland and other facilities. After completing her marketing degree, they both ran their own marketing business, which they were very good at. Network 21 took them to many places, and they worked hard achieving gold status, I believe. A massive achievement, many strong friendships made, and many friends are here or watching today. She had many friends who she just adored, and we were always hearing stories about you all. Now, if this wasn't enough, they both decided to run a macadamia nut farm north of Auckland and build a batch on Waiheke in their spare time. Later in life, Mum and Bruce bought a motorhome over in the States and based themselves at her cousin Anne's place in Amarillo in Texas. They travelled every year for 3 to 6 months, over about 4 years. Then they bought a couple of motorhomes back to New Zealand to sell, and then they kept one for themselves, began travelling around New Zealand. For a couple of years, they lived and worked in Haast on the west coast of the South Island. Mum took on a position as the main emergency nurse in the area. Bruce drove the ambulance. They experienced some horrific accidents, and apparently Mum was just amazing. Back in Auckland briefly, fed up with the traffic, they made the move to Taupo, where she took up cycling, started at the gym, and fell in love with her quilting. She rode the 40 and 80 kilometre cycle ride in Taupo at the age of 70 and 71 on her road bike. Shortly after, she purchased an e-bike, and there was no holding her back. Anyone that knows Mum knows she's a speed freak, and this bike was perfect. As her disease progressed, a special e-tri-bike was purchased. Sporty and fast, she loved it, and it was just the best to keep her getting out and live her life. Meanwhile, back in Taupo, she sort of retired, did a bit of nursing and helped out at the Ironman sporting aid stations. She also flew around the country in her spare time to teach caregivers and nurses in rest homes how to use incontinence pads. This became her last job, as sadly this disease took away the ability for people to understand her, and she was forced to stop. Throughout life, she sewed for us, she had veggies growing in the garden, and she kept up with her large circle of friends. Mum, with her 6 grandchildren, in Scotland and Auckland, she always kept in contact with each one of them individually. So proud of all their achievements, known as Oma, and I know they will miss her a lot. After Bruce passed away, I never thought Mum would be so happy again. Ooh. It was her love of cycling that led her to meet Graham. And it must have been fate, because not too many months after, Mum was out cycling and she met Graham out on his bike too. Mum was very happy. Within the short time together, they have had so many awesome adventures, and I'm so grateful you both had so much time together, or this time together. Many camper van adventures, overseas travels, and as much cycling as they could make happen. Mum has never been one to sit still. Graham, I want to thank you for taking such good care of her, especially in the last 6 months of her life. She loved you dearly, and I know you did of her. Okay. I'm not finished yet. I'm not done. All right. Now, my relationship with Mum, I just wanted to share with you. This could be quite hard, but I'll do my best. How hard is it to say goodbye to my best friend, my mum, the most amazing woman who I idolised and was there for me no matter what. Every day I met her, she was had the most amazing smile that lit up a room every single time. Her love of life, her ability to make you feel like you're the most important person, her infectious giggle, her loud laugh, we've all heard it, haven't we? Her impromptu moments of singing, her ability to get things done, maybe by being a bit bossy and always making those lists. Her love of food, that quick squirt of dairy whip from the fridge when no one was watching. Stealing marshmallows from other people's coffees. The baking she did, the ability to just whip something up. Her love of Christmas, lots of colour, good food, dangly earrings, Christmas carols always playing as she danced around and sang. Birthdays were never forgotten. We both loved to throw leaves up and run through them in the autumn. In fact, we even did this last year, I think, yeah. Paddling in the water and those after work swims at the beach. She loved swimming in the sea and the lake. Afternoon weekend bike rides with orange cordial and biscuits. Picnics were an absolute favourite. Mum was a rayalite and loved life to the max. We shared a love of people, music, books, sewing, gardening, exercise. Mum was always keen to try something different. I remember her skipping down Queen Street in Auckland singing "We're Off to See the Wizard," and Brett and I holding way back while she did their thing. Slightly embarrassed as young teenagers, but later we joined in at her random moments and laughed a lot. She loved to sing and dance, loved a good party, musicals and entertaining. She loved all her friends, always chatting about someone. We were really close, thinking of each other at the same time, and then an unplanned message or phone call shortly after. I miss our daily morning messages and phone chats in the evening. The biggest heart and the most loving person I know. We had so many fun times, adventures, the most amazing holidays and weekends away. Her big chats, her strength and passion for all has left a big hole in me to fill. But there is a lot of her in me. We only missed a couple of Christmases as in different parts of the world, but we're together for the rest. Birthdays were always celebrated as a family. She was always there supporting me at races in her hometown or at the Mount, always. This season of racing will be different, and I'll just have to imagine that I can hear her and see her out there. I know you're better off now where you are, Mum, and I'll live my life knowing I had the best mum who loved me and gave me so many opportunities to be who I am now. Such a cruel disease to take you so early. We were so lucky and grateful to have the extra time to spend together. We got to say what we needed to say before it was time to say goodbye for the last time. Mum was my mentor, my teacher, my nurse, my Google advisor, and go-to person when I just needed to know something to get help and advice. I will hold tight onto these memories. Thank you, Mum. No more suffering, no more pain. No more lists for you or from you to me. You are my hero, who I miss so much. Until we meet again, rest in peace, my gorgeous Mum.
Beautiful. Well, on my last visit with Sally just 3 weeks ago, I was asked to give you all a message. Sally remained positive throughout a most devastating illness, an illness that which was all too familiar to her within her nursing career. She was extremely grateful for all of the help, encouragement and support she received. And she asked me to say thank you to a few people. Here is another list. And she wrote this list, and I took photos of it and she did it in about 10 different bits. For anybody who saw her in recent, she was writing on a slate, and I'd take a photograph, and then she'd press the button, and it would disappear, and then she'd write the next bit. So this is it. Thank you to all my family and friends who have been so kind and supportive, especially during my illness. Graham, Jennifer and family, Brett and family, Jolene and Liam, Anne and Ray and Laurel. Thank you to my special friends, the coffee group, the gym, Margaret and Barry, who travelled with us all over New Zealand in the motorhome, cycling over 500 kilometres. That was about 3 pages. Celia for sharing a love of quilting, and together we cared for the garden at the hospice and kept each other company at the gym. Maureen, who looked after me at church when I couldn't and made dinners for Graham. Thank you to all those involved in my healthcare, which has been impeccable. From the speech therapist to the respiratory nurse specialist, Rachel, including the carers who came in each day. The much needed care and support from the hospice nurses. All the equipment that was provided to make life more manageable, including the cough assist machine, the suction toothbrush, and 2 new made-to-measure wheelchairs. Thank you to the Motor Neurone Association for their support and advice. Thank you to Summerset by the Lake for all their support and encouragement. If I asked for anything, it was done as if it was yesterday. Thank you to all those who contributed to the most amazing fundraising event here in Summerset, which raised over $10,000 for motor neurone research. Thank you again. Love, Sally. So now we've come to the time of our service when I'll ask people with tributes to come forward. And the first one I'd like to ask is Connor.
Hello, I'm Connor, one of Omar's grandchildren.
I hope you don't expect me to read that.
My font is a lot smaller than Mum's on her phone. Oh, it's okay. Omar, you really have been the shining light in my life since I was born. We've held an extremely close relationship over my life, and I've always known to contact you whenever I needed. I'm not quite sure how the conversations are going to continue, but I'm sure that we'll find a way. Our love is so strong, and often we didn't really need to put it into words, just a good long hug. And although I could hear each day when we were together, she'd tell me how special I was, but yet nothing was as powerful as just being in her arms and having a hug. Omar guided me into the medical world, and after being so stuck with my career pathway, she helped me understand what I really wanted to do. My only wish was to make as much of a difference to patients as she has. It was a really wild 17-year-old crisis, but she was the only one that could truly comfort and guide me. I played the piano before, and she gave me my very first piano lesson. And every time I play, I feel her right beside me. I'll never forget her voice over my shoulder telling me exactly what note was wrong, or to slow down and practice properly and not just all the fun parts. On my last day with her, I simply couldn't search for the right words to explain how I felt. But she just looked at me and smiled at me. And I was sobbing, and all I could say was, "I miss you, Omar." And she smiled through her tears. She just said, "You know, I won't be able to miss you, darling." And there's comfort knowing that she's safe and she's free, and that overpowers the immediate grief of her leaving us. Omar, all of your actions, our memories, and your love will be lived on by all of us. You've done so much to make everyone happy, and we're all going to remember you for that. Live on, Omar. I love you.
Now it's Graham's turn to come up and share with us.
First of all, I'd like to apologise to Liam for stuffing up his song to start off with. Sorry, buddy. Liam is my son-in-law and also my best friend. Anyway, Sally and I, it all started about 4 years ago because of a bike trip. I met Sally at Acacia Bay. We rode to the end of Acacia Bay. But she was a cunning little thing. I was on a non-electric racing bike. She was on quite a brand new Trek electric bike. So from Acacia Bay, she took me right down to the water, so that I'd have to climb up the hill. Then we got a bit further. She said, I think we should go this way. That's better. So down the hill we went and up the other side. And really I didn't have the gears or the strength to get up, but I managed it. We went right to the end of Acacia Bay, turned around and came back. And I could catch her on the straights and the downhill. But then she got to that long uphill part and I lost sight of her. And I got to the top and I didn't know whether I was going to turn right or I was going to turn left. So I stopped. And as luck would have it, I had a telephone number, so I rang up and I said, I'm lost, you better come and get me. Which she did. It didn't really take long to know that we had a lot in common. And from that moment on, we agreed we'd take an adventure together. And what an adventure. Oh, good to be. It's playing up.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's all right. Someone's chopping onions, mate.
Yeah. We swapped the big, large motorhome for quite a nice one that we couldn't drive and live in, and we decided to, get on with life. We realised that we weren't both spring chickens, and that time eventually would take toll on our activities. Anyway, Sally sat down and she made a list. She was famous for these lists. I've got heaps of them, right? And the first thing she wrote is, we're not going to sit in our chairs and pee in our socks. So I immediately took my socks off, eh? Anyway, the motorhome and the bikes were bundled up and away we went to the South Island, and what a fantastic time we had meeting all of Sally's friends and some of my relations, and from Martinborough, from Chris and Randall, and then we went to our cousins in Nelson and Blenheim, off to the west coast, and seeing Sally's longtime friend Jill, plus all her other friends who I can't remember their name, but they were everywhere. And we were going past a place called Kumara, and some of you may know it. It's just a little wee, very small place. It's got a hotel and a dog kennel on the corner. And we were told that there's a swimming pool down the road you should go and see. It was built, in the turn of the century, like the century before last, the 1900s. But it's not used anymore. Might like to go and have a look. So we went down to this place, and in those days they'd scooped it all out, put the dirt to the side, they put rocks around it, and in the weekend they'd drain all their irrigation to fill it up. And it was quite a big, large area. So we went down there on the berm beside it, and we decided to turn around to come home. Sally jumped on a bike. She put this pedal down. Then she turned around and put this foot out to give her a bit of a kick along, but there was nothing there. She fell, wham, 8 feet down the cliff on her back. It was really bad. Broke her helmet. That's why I'm a bit fussy about wearing a helmet in several places, that was. And I thought I'd be picking up a paraplegic because there was rocks either side of her, so I couldn't jump. It was higher than that. I couldn't jump down. Went round, picked her up. She was more concerned about the bike, but otherwise she was okay. And so, I've lost my place. Where am I, mate? I'm here, aren't I? I'm over the page. Oh, God. Yeah. Okay. Sally jumped astride the bike. She was angry. She got up, and for the next 35 k's, head down, bum up, and she wouldn't stop till she got home. She was so disappointed she fell off. But just proved that Sally wasn't a person in cycling to be messed with. She was very, very good. We travelled the rail trails and the Clutha Gold, about 80 kilometres a day, and it wasn't really an issue. Going through Oamaru, Sally stopped and said, I want to stop here. Oh, I stopped. What do you want to do? She said, oh, there's a young fella up there I want to go and see. Haven't seen him for 10 years. He's a paraplegic, and I used to look after him. So she just hopped up, went in and saw her, and what a person. And came back about 10 minutes later and said, well, she's still okay. And away we went. Always compassionate, always thinking of other people. In Otago and Southland on that particular trip, Sally gave me almost a blueprint of where all the wild apple trees were, and the good ones and the bad ones, because we'd stop and pick the apples. And if they were too high up, she'd ask me to use the chainsaw to chop a leaf down. So rather than see them rot on the ground, we'd pick them up and we'd preserve them. The next adventure came when we went to Australia, visiting Brother Ray and my brother Paul in Cairns, and then down to Brisbane for my mum's 101 birthday. That was 2 years ago. She's still alive, and I'm going to be seeing her in a few weeks' time. Another plan was hatched, and that involved Margaret and Barry. We went to the South Island again. And looking back on those days, that was probably the beginning of motor... It's playing up again. Yeah. That was the beginning of motor neuron disease, although we didn't really understand that Sally slackened off the pace, which was unusual. We did the Dunstan Trail, and then we came down, and at 75, back here, Sally was still working. And that was really quite interesting. She was she was teaching nurses and new people in homes how to use incontinence pads. And to do this was really quite a laugh. She'd give them each one and said, now put it on and make sure you do it properly. So these women and one or two guys would be dancing around fixing these things up. Anyway, one day she produced a very large size, not the ones you buy in the chemist shops, even bigger than that, huge. And she said, you two, come up here. We put them back to back, and she put this incontinence pad over both of them. And it caused a huge laugh. People never forgot Sally and her lectures. She was a very skillful instructor. We're just about done, aren't we? 3 more pages, yeah. Sally had to stop because no one could really understand her. And that was interesting too, because she started to slur her words, and she thought it was her plate. So she went into the plate people and said, I think my plate's jumping around, I can't speak properly. So he said, well, I'll make you a new one. So he made her a new plate. It was $1,530. And still it happened. So he said, well, it's maybe a bit thick. So she shaved some up underneath. And it still didn't work. So she took it out, but it dropped on the floor and it broke. So under the Consumer Guarantees Act, we went back to see that. Went back to see the maker of this product anyway. Eventually they replaced it, but of course at that stage we were busy working out what was wrong, and we were going to see specialist neurologists and that. And then motor neuron was eventually diagnosed. Again, we were a bit stressed out for a while, but very shortly after we were sitting down and Sally said, we're not going to sit on the couch and pee in our socks. We'll make another list. So we went over to the UK and America, seeing Brett and the grandchildren. All the grandchildren took time off for a whole week just to be with Sally. Chris and Randall in London, and then we went over to Texas, Amarillo and Granbury to see her friends there, and that was really quite amazing. We joined the Summerset cruise. By that stage, Sally was in a wheelchair, having difficulty eating, but she put up with it. And more recently, we went on another cruise, 17 days of it, all the way to Hawaii. And again, in a wheelchair full time. And that's when the wheelchair bandit was referred to as Mustang Sally. She was never sad and always a wave to the passengers and crew. Motor neuron took away Sally's ability to speak and swallow. And all those people mentioned before were of great assistance to her. Sally left. It's going to play up again. Can you do this?
Yeah. Sally left this world in a peaceful sleep, surrounded by family. We'll miss you, Shorty. Rest in peace, my love.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'll try. Well, you've got a bit on here that I might want to read, is it?
No, you can't read that.
Well, that's telling me, isn't it? Well, we're now going to listen to a poem that was written especially for today by a good friend, Christine Warner, who is currently in Scotland. Okay, I thought he was going to say some of that, but yeah, so that's all good. And then that will be followed, we just most follow it, with Kaylin singing a song, Danny Boy. Okay, so Kaylin, the grandson in Scotland. So we'll have those two now.
To have met Sally once was to love her forever. Happy all day? Would she grumble? Never. Her laughter so raucous, contagious and loud, and although quite small, she stood out in a crowd. Her kindness, compassion, she was a great nurse, for years giving bed baths, and then did far worse, talking of tiddles and widdles and incontinence draws all over the country to ecstatic applause. A true workaholic, always up on the run, was a champion sprinter, found winning such fun. A fanatic for gym and keeping so fit, a great sense of humour and a regular wit. Then cycling with Graham, they went miles together, laughing and chortling whatever the weather. The roads that they cycled were often quite bumpy, but the double suspension meant her bottom stayed comfy. In Itchy Feet camper, they went far and wide. Graham the driver, Sally right by his side. Before any journey, a long list she would write of things to be done, even away for one night. You've left us all here, but this much is true. When we think of you now, we remember the you, a beautiful lady with a nature so kind. You've gone somewhere better and left us behind. Wherever you are, one thing is sure, you'll be smiling, laughing, chortling, giggling, causing mirth and hilarity as you did before, and making to-do lists. We all love you, Sally. Thank you for bringing joy to everyone's life.
Hey boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be there in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so.
So I now would like to read a tribute from Brett, Sally's son. I think we all have good memories of our parents, but because I travelled so much, mine tend to be earlier on, much earlier in my life. So these are my memories before adulthood and our other families took over. So my best, most vivid memories are from the 1970s and early 80s. In the 1970s, Sunday evenings were pudding nights. We had copious amounts of rice pudding or stewed fruit pudding, or Mum's favourite, lemon pudding. For the non-New Zealanders here, all can be found in the Edmonds cookbook, which most of us are still using, which was our Bible back in those 1970 days, where we would never buy anything pre-cooked. And in brackets he's put, I still have 2 cookbooks in Europe today. The rest of the week was alternating baked beans night, or spaghetti, or sausages, or my favourite curried eggs. Mum had just the work car for our travel in the 1970s, and passengers were strictly forbidden. So we had to lie beneath the front seats whenever we might be noticed. We also had 3 bikes and used to love taking a picnic on the beach or on Mount Victoria or North Head with cordial made with 1.3 kilograms of sugar. Surprisingly, I never got tooth decay. Oh, and wine biscuits with thick, thick butter inside. It may be that this memorial is about food. Well, Mum loved to celebrate her birthday. So every year for years, Jen and I would create childhood parties for our mother with packet jellies, sometimes made with milk, cakes, which became more and more decorative, fruit juice, it was a special drink in 1980 for special occasions only, bread with hundreds and thousands, special chocolate biscuits, themed sugary parties, I guess, and she loved them. In later years, I travelled and saw less and less of my mother, who also travelled with Bruce and made so many friends, both in New Zealand, where she learnt to explore the rest of the country in her camper van, and in the States, where she forged such strong friendships with lost family. I'm a strong person, so was my mother, so we didn't always see eye to eye, and indeed it was a roller coaster of a ride. One thing that I remember, though, my mother could be very positive and believed and supported a number of Jen and my dreams. I think this helped to get to where we wanted with both our careers and our sports. There are many things I can thank my mother for. Her strong work ethic, letting Jen and I cook whatever we wanted, whatever food experiment we wanted to undertake, and eating all of it, and her sense of fairness. I'll miss you, Mum. And now I've got a tribute from Anne, Sally's sister. I will miss you very much, Sally. I followed you through my childhood with school, piano lessons, swimming, running, and even taking your office job when you left to become a nurse. We played duets together, you in the treble going as fast as you could, and me plodding along in the bass. 2 years after you had been in nursing school, I was to follow you again, your idea in brackets, and I signed up to the nurses course. Once we had qualified, our paths divided again when I fulfilled a long-held desire to travel to England. Meanwhile, you pursued your nursing career and started your family. My mantra, life is not a race, fell on deaf ears. You were too busy doing, organising, and delegating. You were always in a hurry, achieving more tasks before breakfast than I managed in a day. Your letters left me feeling exhausted with news of building batches, painting window frames, selling goods on Amway, buying and running a macadamia nut farm. You also managed a full-time nursing job and an Airbnb. In your spare time, you made beautiful quilts. You made one for me with bright-coloured pukekos, birds in their nests among the reeds, and 2 lovely aprons, one of which featured the New Zealand Christmas tree, the Pahutakawa. Over the years, we visited each other with our children and had many happy times. I will remember you fondly. And I am in a minute going to open up the floor for anybody who wants to come forward and speak. But before I do, I'm just going to read a message from a friend, Anne. Anne O. Sally, my friend and nursing buddy, this is a very sad day for all who knew you. You will be really missed. I feel so privileged to have shared your friendship over many years. You were always positive, fun and welcoming, and a great sense of humour. I enjoyed our social times together. We spent many an hour putting the world to rights and our experiences in our nursing careers. Your illness stunned us all that knew you. A special thank you to Graham, who came into your life and made your last years full of adventure, most of all his wonderful care of you. Goodbye, dear friend, I won't forget you. Would anybody else like to come forward?
Thank you. I'm Karen, and I first met Sally when I joined the prelim class at Green Lane. And actually, there's two others here today. We were all in the same prelim class. There's Mary and Lynn. Jill, who's still with us, is in Fiji having a holiday with her family, so she can't be here. We were quite a big group. We had a lot of fun. And whoops, thought I'd be more technically savvy. Now I've gone off. I know. I've actually known Sally for 60 years and a bit. It's a long time. Over the years, we have shared a lot. The first holiday we had together was a bus tour of the South Island. We were the youngest by years, but had a great time. And in amongst the photo montage, you'll see a photo of us, I think. I did send it to Jennifer. We're wearing matching frocks. Quite short, too. We got married and our husbands got on really well. We continued to holiday together, a caravan, then many years in tents. Then Grant built a 16-foot sailor with a bit of help from Jerry, which we had fun on. But after one sailing particular trip, Sally and I went to town and bought roller reefing for the foresail. We were sick of going up the front and nearly falling over with the guys shouting at us. We used to get all of us on board. There'd be 3 visible adults on the top. In the cabin was me and 5 children. One of them was only 15 months old. One time after going in the Bay of Islands, we anchored the boat after jibbing back and forth about 20 times, moored the boat, walked and had a picnic, and the tide came in, and Juliet woke up. Oops, thank goodness Grant was a really good swimmer. She was a long way away from us, but we had a lot of fun. And I must admit, I always had lists for camping. Grant got a teaching post to Caddy Cat, but we always spent some school holiday time together. In my house with my brand new oven, had a glass door. And we sat on the floor, Sal and I, and watched a coffee pavlova cooking and rising. Unfortunately, it exploded. We never worked out why. We cleaned the oven, had another go. Our children were asleep at the time. Coffee pav was a bit special to just us. We did used to make them quite often. Sally had lots of energy, and we cooked, sewed, bottled, and became rather competent at recovering furniture. Painting plus gardening. Sally played the piano, and we often sang around it, especially at Christmas. We also always met, most years, at Christmas time for a picnic with Jennifer, and we still do meet with Jennifer and her family, which is lovely. One time we greatly embarrassed our daughters, Sally and I, and we'd been to the ballet. We decided we'd enjoyed watching the ballet. We'd try ourselves as we walked down Queen Street. They threatened they would never come to the ballet again with us if we did that ever again. Well, actually, Jennifer, Georgie and I still go to the ballet, so they forgave us. We also got laughed at and scolded really badly at a film because we laughed too much. It was The Gods Must Be Crazy. It was a great film. I still love it. Going through our photo albums, Sally and her family feature a lot in celebrations and fun occasions. And for the last years after Sally moved to Taupo, we had a gathering of our nursing group once a year here in the end of January, which was always a special time, a couple of days of catching up and talking, and, just enjoying being with each other. So I do thank you for the fellowship I've had and the friendship for all this time. I'd also like to say thank you to Graham, because the last few years for Sally would not have been the fun she had, and for the fact that you allowed her to continue being the energetic person she was. I really appreciate that, thank you. And thank you, Sally. Rest in peace.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward?
Thank you. I'm here representing a friend of Sally's who we've heard of. Graham mentioned Jill and her time in Haast. So this is from Jill Cogger, who is watching us, I hope, from Greymouth. And it's illustrating a little bit of her time down in the South Island in Haast. Sally and I first met in 2008 in Haast. I was the sole charge principal and she the rural specialist practice nurse. She would race about in her nurse's car or ambulance, meeting the health needs of children and adults from Harry to the gates of Haast and over the mountain ranges. I've known Sally to administer to a cyclist whose bike had left the road and had landed halfway up a tree. She had to climb the tree, cut him down and administer to his many needs. I went with her, oh, excuse me. No, I'm right. Must be his microphone, right? So cut him down and I went with her in the ambulance to assist a mother in labour heading to Dunedin maternity and watched from the classroom as she helped dangerously ill patients into the rescue helicopter in the school playground or on the school field. Any and every health need in the area had the benefits of Sally's wide and varied health skills. Once we even trekked up the Haast Kiwi Sanctuary Hills at midnight to release juvenile Kiwis into their home environment. Sally loved adventure. She was often biking trails or exploring overseas. Sally and Bruce owned a fifth wheeler in the States and visited family and friends wintering away in the US summer. She delighted in the new and interesting. Sally brought all her stories and treasures home to share. Sally had a huge range of interests and skills, from building coffins to macadamia farming, from health and exercise to quilting and crafts. Whenever we visited in years after Haast, our days would be built on checklists. There was a list to be completed daily, always with breaks and treats in between. She was incredibly organised and focused. A place for everything and everything in its place. Sally didn't like waste or clutter. If it wasn't useful or necessary, it was found a new home. The local second-hand stores benefited greatly from this. When Sally left my house after a visit, it was like having been put right and headed in the right direction. Sometimes it was my turn to help redirect and refocus when life got a bit muddled or difficult. But the greatest share was hers. Either way, life with Sally was never boring and always filled with love and lessons. Sally's greatest love was for her family. She was fiercely proud of Jennifer and the boys. She told stories of their achievements, Dylan's surf life-saving and Connor's piano, Jennifer's athletic ability. She missed her family in the UK and share their stories and updates. Sally had many friends and acquaintances, as has been witnessed over the last few months of her illness. She has fought this battle with dignity and grace, and now has passed to peace and rest in the Lord's arms. Thankfully, she was able to do this with the love and support of Graham, who she holds dear to her heart. Now I have to work out how I'm going to get my fatty broomstick body into her skinny as cycle gear, as she has gifted me a pile of it. Her way of issuing me with her final challenge. Look after yourself and don't be sitting about peeing in your socks. That's what old people do. A favourite of hers. There is no way to express my sense of loss. I will miss her with every fibre and carry her close to my heart every day. Farewell, my dear friend. God bless you, dear girl. Thank you, Jennifer, for being the loving daughter she was so very proud of. And on a personal note, my wife Rosemary and I, we spent some wonderful times with Sally and Graham, and with Sally and Bruce, and we did a magnificent trip around the States with them. And from our personal point of view, we will so miss Sally and her laughter and her can-do attitude.
Thank you. Must have taken mine as well. I might have my notes back.
Do you want yours? Okay.
I might find them useful. Is there anybody else who would like to come up? Come on, Dee. Oh, there's a lot there. I'll come to you next. A quick one. Okay, dear.
Some local colour. Sally and Graham moved into the village here, and we live here as well. And I think we were, Sally talked to us about coming in here and came around to look at our place a few times. But what I want to tell you about is that Sally belongs to the local Taupo Moana Rebus Club, which is now Probus Club, which is now Rebus Club. And she came up one year, and I didn't even know her, not like all of you who've known her for 60 years. She came up, she said, "May I sit with you here?" I said, "Yes, of course." And she said, "There's only one of me." She joined the club just shortly after Bruce passed away. And so we got to become friends very quickly. And then we didn't have another Christmas due the next year for some reason, like COVID or something. And then the following year after that, she came along and she said, "May I sit with you again?" I said, "Of course, nice to see you again." And she said, "There's two of us." And there's one thing I want to tell you, Graham, how thrilled she was when you bought her the gold wedding band. It was a bit big, despite the fact that you got it sized, and I keep sizing it for her with little beads sewn into it. But she was so thrilled. Thank you. Thank you for staying the course. She told me that she said to Graham before coming in here, "If you want to walk, now's the time to do it before I move into Summerset." And Graham said, "Don't be silly. We're doing this together." Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll try not to take notes. I probably haven't known Sally as long as many of you have. We first met in the gym class at the AC Baths over 8 years ago, quickly developed a close friendship. We had a lot in common: a love of cycling, quilting, a background working in healthcare, and a very similar sense of humour. It was uncanny that we would just laugh at the same time over almost nothing. I wanted to do the quarter-late cycle challenge when I came to Taupo, so Sally said she would take me out to View Road and teach me how to ride hills. She did. We went up View Road, down to Broadlands Road, back again. I got the uphill part fine, but coming back down, Sally was usually at the bottom before I was halfway down. She was a lot braver, more reckless, whatever, than I was. As she started to develop symptoms and eventually received the diagnosis of motor neuron disease, I was in awe of how she seemed to cope, knowing full well that she knew what was in store for her. She carried on life as normal, which gradually became a new normal. She continued going to gym classes until the end of last year, enjoying the social interaction and coffee after as much as the class. We also had a small group of mainly quilters who met up in town on a Friday morning for coffee. We showed each other our ongoing projects, put the world to rights, had a good laugh, but we were also very great support for each other. When travel became difficult for Sally, we moved to the cafe here at Summerset, and Sally came to coffee until the week before she died. Last summer, when I started swimming in the lake, Sally said she would really like to do that, so Graham acquired a life jacket and we started swimming in the lake. She really enjoyed floating on her back, kicking her legs, feeling the sun on her face and enjoying the freedom. And I was pleased when our Friday coffee group got to spend time with Sally on a Tuesday morning, so Graham got a bit of time out. We had a roster, and it meant we got to spend one-on-one time with Sally. Those times were very special for me. I know they were for Sally, and I'm sure they were for the rest of the group too. Sally was one of those friends that you only get a few times in your life, and I'll miss her and never forget her. I'm sure that she's now flying free out there somewhere, looking down on me and telling me to cycle faster and swim further. Rest in peace, my dear friend. I've just got one more thing. I've got the last piece of quilting that Sally started for Jen. Sally made some of these blocks. I took it home and made some more, put it together. It was quilted by someone, by Linda Bishop in the club and by Maxine, who finished it off.
Is there anybody else who'd like to come forward?
Hi everyone, we're Margaret and Barry. Well, what a life the lady led. Pretty amazing. We first came to know Sally, like a number of you, through joining the gym in Taupo. She was probably the fittest person in the group, always doing that little bit extra. Sometime later we met Graham at the gym. He was not a good gym bunny, and he decided he did not want his fitness to peak too early. So he gracefully retired after his first visit. Probably after the first session, yeah. So no more gym except for the coffee. Sally and Graham love coffee. More about that later. The four of us then formed a cycling group and did several rides around the North Island and later venturing to the South Island. Sal would be out front, powering away as she always did, until we came to a cap. Both Sally and Graham had a nose for finding cafes. Indeed, we seemed to be on a first-name basis with most of the calves in Taupo. That was the end of the weight loss program. We all had some good times riding and exploring parts of New Zealand we hadn't seen before. Sadly, Sally's health started to deteriorate, and we could not do some of these rides as a group, but she always came along as support. While Sally's latter years were not as she would have wished, or indeed as any of us would have wished, she remained courageous, positive, dignified, and as active as her health would allow. It was a good lesson to all of us. And you, Graham, my friend, you've been a tower of strength for Sally and her family, always remaining positive, helpful as you could be to Sally. You've lost your partner and good friend, but you're to be commended on your composure, dignity, and good humour. And what was a difficult time. If there is some solace in all this, it is that her pain is ended and she now has some peace. Rest in peace.
Thank you. Hey everyone. I'm a big believer in God, and I don't believe that God makes mistakes. And the fact that Graham and Sally found each other should be an obvious sign of that. They were so suited to each other, and they've been so good for each other. One of the things that they were totally suited for was their love of thriftiness. The smile that would light up on both their faces when they discovered a cache of what they're called, pallets, that they could break up and use to stoke the fires by any firewood. the apples that they gathered from the floor, on their various bike rides so they could make apple pie. And Sally smuggling chips in napkins at the end of a curry rather than leave them on the plate. They took great delight in. And I ended up calling them Steptoe and Son because of it, which they both loved, and they laughed a lot about that one. I'll miss the call-outs for regular tech support, but in secret I loved it because it was a chance to go out and hang out with them. Just before she passed, one of the doctors that was caring for her made a comment that if you could bottle Sally's essence and distribute it, the world would be a better place. And I believe that the essence of Sally was based in her faith. It was Christ living in her. And that faith, hope, and love is what she carried with her, I think, and is why everybody warmed to her so greatly. I know I did. And just before she passed, I was able to say, "I'll see you again." And she was confident that she knew where she was going. And she messaged me shortly before and said that she had a real peace and that she was looking forward to being with Jesus. And before she passed, I said, "Make sure you put in a good word for me with him, will you?" I'm sure she will. She will be missed, I'm sure, by everybody. Real blessing to our family, Graham. But we'll take great care of him, Sally, so don't you worry. Rest in peace.
Thank you, Liam. Right, before we have a time of prayer, we'd like to, Jennifer's going to come and read the poem. What? The last farewell? Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to come and read that?
All right. Dear friends, I go, but do not weep. I've lived my life so full and deep. Throughout my life, I gave my best. I earned my keep. I've earned my rest. I never tried to be great or grand. I tried to be a helping hand. If I helped in a team, if I helped on my own, it was more than repaid by good family and friends known. And if I went the extra mile, I did it with pleasure, worthwhile. If I brightened your path, then let it be a small contribution from my loved ones and me. Now, sadly, I leave you and travel alone through a mystic veil to the great unknown, with such memories that will forever be the way that I hope you will remember me.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'll just repeat those words. If I brightened your path, then let it be a small contribution for my loved ones and me. Sally certainly brightened a lot of our lives. So let us pray. Loving God, we thank you for Sally, her many gifts and talents, the love that she so freely shared throughout her life's journey with a much-loved family and friends, colleagues, students, and patients and her clients. We thank you, Sally. We thank you for Sally, her knowledge, skill, and experience over a wide variety of nursing roles, always caring and compassionate with much love, joy, and laughter. Her organisation and management abilities, which have served so many so well. We are thankful for the years we have all shared with her, either at home, at work, or within the many activities that she enjoyed. We ask you, Lord, to bless all those who have cared for her during her last years of illness. And we especially thank Graham that he came into her life to care for her with such an abundance of love. Loving God, your wisdom is beyond our understanding. At this time, surround Graham, Jennifer, Brett, Anne and Ray, Jimmy and Nikki and their families with love, that they may not be overwhelmed by their loss, but have confidence in the support of others to find strength and courage to meet the days, weeks, and months to come. Amen. Sally, we bid you farewell with sadness, but also with pride in what you have achieved as a wife, a mother, a sister, a nurse, and so much more, and the legacy of caring love you have left behind with us all. Let us go forth into the world in peace. Be strong and of good courage. Hold fast to that which continues to be good in our lives. May we surround and support each other with love, rejoicing with laughter and our giggles and mirth in the wonderful memories we all share and hold in our hearts of Sally Frances Sims. Can we all join together to say an Apache blessing that's on your hymn sheets? Can we say this together? May the sun bring you energy each day, bringing light into the darkness of your soul. May the moon softly restore you by light bathing you in the glow of restful sleep and peaceful dreams. May the rain wash away your worries and cleanse the hurt that sits in your heart. May the breeze blow new strength into your being, and may you believe in the courage of yourself. May you walk gently through the world, keeping your loved one with you always, knowing that you are never parted in the beating of your heart. A blessing for the family and Graham. So now to complete our service today, Liam is going to come and sing. Oh, the what? What have I missed? Oh, I've missed it. I've missed something out, girls, people. Sorry. Yes, so we'll have the visual tribute now, which I forgot about, sorry. Connor was going to play as well. You going to play? Yeah, sorry. I don't know how I missed it, but I am. So just sit quietly. As much of a surprise. My apologies for missing such an important part. Yeah. Beautiful play, beautiful. Right, so now shall we finish? So, with our Mustang Sally, which is a favourite song of Sally.
You guys all have to help me out with the little lady backing vocals with the bride, Sally Ride. You'll all sing with me. Otherwise, it's all him.
Feel free to join in, guys.
Mustang Sally, guess you better slow your Mustang down. Mustang Sally now, baby, guess you better slow your Mustang down. Ride around, Sally.
Ride, Sally, ride.
That's the way. All you wanna do is ride around, Sally.
Ride, Sally, ride.
All you wanna do is ride around, Sally.
Ride, Sally, ride.
All you wanna do is ride around, Sally.
Ride, Sally, ride.
One of these mornings, I'm gonna be wiping your weeping eye, yeah. I bought you a brand new Mustang. It was in 1965. Now you come around to signify, woman. Yeah, you want Mustang Sally now, baby.
Sally, now, baby.
Yes, you better slow your Mustang down.
Down.
You've been riding all over town. Ooh, I guess you gotta put your flat feet on the ground. All you wanna do is ride around, Sally.
Ride, Sally, ride.
All you wanna do is ride around, Sally.
Ride, Sally, ride.
All you wanna do is ride around, Sally. All you wanna do is ride around, Sally.
Ride, Sally, ride.
One of these early mornings, I'm gonna be wiping those weeping eyes, yeah. Those weeping eyes.
stay and join us